say a very quick thank you to you all for tuning in. And to any of the interested buyers here today, all the very best with your bidding. Now, in a moment's time, when we do call for your bidding, we'll be asking for a deposit equal to 10% of the purchase price. The balance of that deposit payable in 30 or 60 days' time. That's the preferential settlement terms by the vendor. If you have taken the time to read through the Section 32, you'll see it does confirm that Ray White, as the vendor's estate agent here today, is selling what is formally described as Lot 5 on Planner Subdivision 000995, which is, of course, more commonly known to yourself and I as Apartment 5 at 82 to 84 Coorigil Road here in Carnegie. Now, if you are a first-time online auction attendee, to place a bid, it's very, very simple. There's a couple of options available to you. You can either shout out your bid in a nice, clear voice using your microphone. If you are using your microphone to make bids, we will just make a request that you do have your camera turned on, or alternatively, you can use the chat function at the bottom of your screen there. Now, as a bid gets made, you will see that we are standing in the background registering those bids across the screen. So you will see that the number gets plastered across the image floating on the screen there. Now, if at any point throughout the auction today you see that number turns green, that means we're on the market and we're selling, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are having any issues with the portal here today, please feel free to give Josh a call. His number's listed on the internet. He'll be able to take a phone call and ensure that those bids come through to me if you are having any issues using the technology. Now, the way that we'll be selling the property is by calling it down 3 times. On the first, second, third, and final contract hits my hand, like so. The property will be sold. At that point, ladies and gentlemen, no late bids can or will be accepted. So it's really, really important that you get your bids in nice and early before the contract hits my hand. Sometimes with technology, if there is a small delay and you leave your run until the very last moment or that third and final call, you'd hate to run the risk of missing out. So please make sure you get in nice and early. I will ask you at some point in the auction, if you have been bidding, that if you're done, if we get to the point personally and say, are you out today? If you could just send through a quick message on the chat function saying, yes, I'm out, it'll obviously help us move things on a little bit faster here today. So that's the formalities out of the way today, ladies and gentlemen. As you're looking at the images flash across the screen, we know that we're big fans of these solid brick apartments. We never get served cladding notices for properties like this. What you see is what you get. And that's what you're buying, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to properties of this vintage. You're buying security, you're buying certainty, you're buying the known. The biggest problems you'll ever see with a building like this might be some window frames that need painting or some gutters that have rusted out. That's as much as or as bad as it ever gets. Properties like this have stood the test of time. For the last 50 or 60 years, they're in the same shape, almost exactly as what they were when they were built. Obviously, with this one having some updates done, the kitchen's been done at some point with the gas cooking in there, which is a very big feature if you can find it in properties of this vintage. The bathroom a little bit more recently been made over, the laundry taps in the property as well. Another very important thing, a bit of an oversight, but I know I had a property recently that I sold on Coorigil Road, in fact, 2 in the same building. One of them had laundry taps, one of them didn't. The one with laundry taps sold for about $20,000 more, with everything else being equal. It does make a massive difference when you've got that laundry taps in your own apartment and tenants or occupants don't need to deal with communal laundries in some of these older buildings. Having the reverse cycle air conditioning, the balcony, this one really has it all, ladies and gentlemen. When I'm going in and appraising these properties, I tell people, if you've got gas cooking, if you've got air conditioning, if you've got a balcony, and if you've got laundry taps, it's virtually a clean sweep. It's as good as it gets. And this one, folks, has it all. The car's parked out at the back of the building there, as you can see, with the entrance in between the 2 buildings. It really is a fantastic little property with very little for you to have to do to it. You could either lease it out straight away or move into it this side of Christmas and enjoy it exactly as it is. Location-wise, just moments away from Murrumbina Station, Carnegie Station not far either. Citizen Cafe, just a short stroll down the road to the right once you get to Murrumbina Road. A plethora of food options and station to choose from at the left if you're going up to Murrumbina. Moments away from at the other end of the road, the 67 tram, which will take you all the way to Elstonwick if the Sandringham line is your preference. The Carnegie Memorial Swimming Pool, more cafes to choose from at either end of the street. You've got parks, shops, schools, everything you could want, ladies and gentlemen, is available virtually walking distance from here. Duncan McKinnon Reserve as well, when you're buying on this part of Coorigil Road. So it really is a great little place from the location and a great property in terms of the improvements that have been done there. So folks, that's enough from me. We'll put it across to you now. We'll call for a fair reasonable start. Apartment 5 at 82 to 84 Coorigil Road. In your hands, ladies and gentlemen, who'd like to bid us away here today. Don't mind the start. Range of 450 to 490 throughout the campaign, perhaps something around the mid-4s, you tell me. Happy to place a vendor bid, but if I'm placing a vendor bid, it means you're going to have to bid on top of me today, buyers. Alternatively, in your hands. 450, can we say? Vendor bid forthcoming if there's nothing further, folks. 450, can we say? Well, vendor bid with me at 4.5 now the bid. At $450,000 we're away, we'll call for a rise of 10. At $450,000 the bid's with me now, looking for a rise of $10,000 from there. At $450,000, vendor bid with me, call for a rise of 10 to get yourself in front, folks. At 4.5 the bid now. At $450,000 we're bid, I'll call that down 3 times for you. At $450,000 the bid, first time now at 450. Second time, 450. Third and final call, at $450,000 a bid. Surely not, folks, at $450,000 a bid. An excellent opportunity for somebody here today. Let me remind you, if there's no bid or advance in excess of 450, the property passes in and we're free to speak to whoever we want. I know there is a couple of you registered in here today. If you bid, you get the first right of refusal. We're not even allowed to speak to anybody else. At $450,000, the bid remains with me. We're calling for a rise of 10 at 450. Can we say 460? First time now at 450. Second time, 4.5. Third and final call. All done. All silent. At $450,000 a bid. Well, buyers, please just give us one quick moment of your time. We'll quickly have a chat with our vendor and we'll be back in 1 moment. Well, folks, thank you very much for your patience. At $450,000, the vendor bid remains with me. Not a great deal to report to our vendor at this stage, but they did make one thing very, very clear to us. If anybody is to bid in excess of $450,000 today, we're to pass the property into the highest bidder. So again, what that means is if you bid here today in excess of me, we'll pass the property into you and you will be given the first right of refusal. We're not even allowed to speak to any of the other registered bidders here today. It's you and you only that gets to exclusively negotiate. And until that point comes and you say, Josh, I'm not interested in the property at that price, only then, once you've walked away from it, can we even start speaking to other people. So it puts you in a really powerful position if you do have the highest bid here today. If there's no further bidder advance and the property passes in on a vendor bid here today, we have the right to call every single one of the registered bidders and speak to them independently and have all of you sort of played off against each other, which is never a nice way to buy property. I know there was one or two people that needed conditions in the contract potentially today, so you may be up against some competition if the property passes in. At $450,000, the bid's with me now. We're still in your hands, buyers, looking for a rise of 10 from here. At $450,000 a bid, $460 if you'd like to join in, buyers. First bid rarely buys a property, but it's certainly going to put you in the best position. $450,000 a bid. In over 80% of the cases we pass in on the highest bid, they go on and buy the property. Incredibly good fighting odds. At $450,000 a bid, still remains with me, calling for a rise of 10. First time now at $450,000. Second time at $450,000. Third and final call at $450,000 a bid. You're hearing about how difficult it can be to crack into the market, buyers. You've been gifted an opportunity right now. We know that after every lockdown, when things get fully opened again, there's always an immediate surge in prices in the market. Do you really want to sit back and wait and compete with everybody once that happens? Now's your opportunity. $450,000 a bid. At $450,000, last chance for you all, buyers. Bids with me at $450,000, calling for a rise of 10. First time now at $450,000. Second time, $450,000. Third and final call. Hold done. Hold silent. At $450,000. Well, buyers, with that, we'll place one more vendor bid at $470,000. We'll formally pass the property in. We'll be on the phone for the next 10 or 15 minutes or so to discuss any questions you may have. Thank you very much for tuning in and have a great day.